Samoyo, Owando Yesu, Owando Yesu, Owando Ate. Samoyo, Owando Yesu, Owando Yesu, Owando Ate. Yoshine wamba Yesu, Mumba Yoshine wamba Yesu.
On the 28th of August 1941, a male child was born into the family of Mr. and Mrs. Katsina in Alu village. Alu is in Ushongo local government of Benue State. That child, who is the grandson of Aluko, was named Aloysius Iyoge. He later became known as Aloysius Iyoge Katsina Alu, the immediate past Chief Justice of Nigeria.
When we were growing up, I knew little about him because he was staying with a teacher somewhere at Tarangwa, where he started his primary school. Then I was a bit small. I was small then. So I didn't know much about him until 1968. Okay. That was when I could even discover who he was. I knew his face. I knew this was my brother. That was when I knew him as a brother. Because before 68, he was going here and there with some teachers.
We are born in this village, and this is the compound we born. Okay. He was born in 1941, and I was born in 1946. We are here.
The young Aloysius started his early education from RCM Primary School, Aduku, in January 1951, and in July same year, he moved to St. Anne's, Adikpo. Between January and December 1952, he was in RCM Primary School, Turungwa.
Our parents were friends, great friends. And I would say brothers too, in the African sense. Okay. My village and his are just 2 kilometers apart, about 2 kilometers apart. Okay. And because of the friendship that existed at the parental level, it continued when I finally met Justice Alu. At that time, Yogi Katsina Alu.
We were in primary school together. He was ahead of me, 2 years ahead of me in primary school. And we parted ways. The school had only standards 1 in those days.
He obtained his first school leaving certificate at St. Patrick's Primary School, Tarako, in 1955.
When we was growing up, even when I was a small girl, we were happy, and he had never touched me or abused me, even abuse of some boys used to abuse their sisters. We go to the farm and come back together. So when there was time they used to catch cricket, he will catch many cricket for me. Then I will carry it to come home. We never fought even a day up to this time.
In 1956, he was admitted into Mount St. Michael's Secondary School, Alede, as student number 109, and was in Mac's house throughout his course of study in the school. In 1961, he obtained the Cambridge School Certificate with flying colors. Apart from academics, Aloysius Katsina Alu also distinguished himself in sports. 2 of his schoolmates tell us more about life at St. Michael's.
Fortunately, we met again in secondary school. Around St. Michael's Secondary School, Aliade, which is my hometown. And then we all met there. He finished before me, and I finished 2 years after that.
He was a class ahead of me.
Okay. All right, sir.
But because we came from the same location, and our parents knew themselves, we never really knew ourselves at that time. We knew ourselves by names, because I went to school in St. John's Catholic Primary School in Boko. His father sent him to a Catholic secondary school in Taraku, next door to Trukbu. So we hardly met even during the holidays, but finally we met in Ariede, and it was a great meeting.
And what we used to like in him, if you do anything wrong, he does not report you. He give you his punishment, and that's it. You don't go anywhere. You remain with him and the three. We used to call them the three groups.
It was so much fun. You played football together, you ate together, you worked together, you sang together, you played together. For example, Alai was known for table tennis. And he played cricket too. When he played football, he must be center forward.
Did he score goals?
He did.
Is there any name that everybody in school actually called him?
Yes.
Okay, what name, sir?
Charming shots, because he played table tennis.
Okay.
And he played it extremely well.
Okay.
If he hit the ball, you couldn't get it.
All right, sir. He enrolled in the Nigerian Military Training School, Kaduna, in April 1962.
You know, the Nigerian Military Training College is now renamed NDA, Nigerian Defense Academy. You were there, you know, of course, 5 of the Nigerian Military Training College. We were all there together as officer cadets. And we all sort of went through the military training. That was how we met. He was a very close friend of mine. We were in the same course. And so we knew ourselves. Each time we went out on drills or parades, we were together. Throughout that year, 1962, we were together in Kaduna. We did physical exercises together. We went out on field craft together, obstacle crossing, climbing the 9-foot, you know, soldiers used to climb the 9-foot wall, and then going over obstacles like rivers using the rope. We were always together. And both of us used to perform very well.
Right.
Very well.
Right.
But I can remember very well the greatest incident that we had, you know, I came across was when we were trying to cross the Kaduna River using this rope over there. It was terrible for me and for him.
How do you mean terrible, sir?
Terrible in the sense that you see right down there is water, and we know that there were crocodiles there, but for you up there, you sort of hang on a rope to go across. If you made a mistake and fell into that water, of course, you know what that meant. Crocodiles will take care of you.
He thereafter went for further training at the Mons Military Training College, Aldershot in England, and was there from November 1962 to January 1963.
We were taken abroad. We sent abroad for further training, and we all went and registered, you know, with the Mons Officer Cadet School, Aldershot, Hans in England. We all went in there to train as officer cadets. We trained there. It was winter actually when we went into London, into England. It was a winter season. It was very cold. But despite that, we were subjected to physical exercises, running around, that sort of, all of us. And we did it very well. He was good. But he never overtook me. At times he tried to overtake me. I overtake him at times. And we used to compete, you know, shining our shoes and the belts, using quite this thing, what do you call it? Polish, to make sure that we either came out first or he should come out first.
There are many versions of what led to his early exit from the military.
There was a day he wasn't feeling well, and they had to march somewhere. So he wasn't in attendance. So the commander sent for him. When he came, he told the commander that he's not feeling well. So the commander said he has to march. And you know, he's a very stubborn man, just like I am. So he told the commander, if the commander wants him to march, the commander must carry him on his head. That is the commander said. The commander has to carry him before he will march. And the commander could not believe this statement coming from a
from a subordinate. And after a while, he heard that he was transferred to Nigeria. When he got to Nigeria, they told him they never sent for his transfer. So they just dismissed him.
I think he went off for something and came back late. And instead of trying to speak to him wisely, they were very rude. Very, very rude. He just told him, keep it. That's all. Just said, keep it. And that was it.
He is a very deeply religious person. Very deeply religious person. He believes that God created all of us equal. He believes in justice for all. Whether for women, for men, children, same justice. Justice for all. With that kind of background, and from what we knew of him in the school, I think it is natural that he opted for law. Because the military at that time wanted very bright children, very bright young people into the army. And Aloy scored first class, Division 1. So they took him. But I think his natural instinct was for justice. He said it in school, and he lived it, he practiced it.
I can't give details as to why he came back to Nigeria. But I know fully well that we ran through, went through the course, and we were getting very close to the time that we were to be commissioned as officers into the Nigerian army. Somehow he was called back to Nigeria. And I think it must be his attempt to resist insults from, the drill sergeant. Yes, and it's one of the issues that I very much admire him for. Because you see, you go in there to train as an army officer. That does not mean that you should be subjected to, all sorts of indignities. And I think that was one of the problems. He was given an order, and that order, as far as I'm concerned, if it was given to me, I would have disobeyed. He disobeyed. Okay. And so he came back to Nigeria. If I were in his shoes, I would have done the same thing.
He settled for the legal profession and got admission to read law at the prestigious Ahmadu Bello University Zaria in August 1963. He was at the law faculty till October 1964 and thereafter traveled back to the United Kingdom for further studies in law. He was at the Inns of Court School of Law from October 1964 to 1967.
I first met Katsina Alu in 1966 when I came from Germany. I graduated as a journalist in Western Germany, and I was working in a Nigerian High Commission as Assistant Information Officer, locally recruited. They were students, because I used to intimidate them that they were students, because me, I was working as, I claimed that I'm an officer, so they should mind the way they talk to me. So we go around together most of the time, after mostly on the weekend, because they are always very busy. And himself, Wabili, Dahiru Mustafa, Umar Abdullahi. Those are the ones I can remember very closely. And then, of course, Alu Katsina, he was very close to Wabili and Dahiru Mustafa. So then we became very close. But I noticed Alu Katsina was very, very a kind of a reserved, quiet person. Himself and Umaru Abdullahi, They are very quiet among us. We are the people who make noise, you know, more especially Obili and Dairu Mustafa. But Katsina was always on the quiet side, he and Umar Abdullah. But we have a lot of friends. But I noticed that was a special character of Katsina. He was very reserved, very humble, very nice, decent.
We met again in Lagos because I did my higher school in Lagos, Federal School of Science. It used to be called the Emergency Science School. We met. He worked briefly and then went to work to school to do law in Lagos. We met there and left him there after my A-levels to the UK. Incidentally, when he came to do his final stages of his profession, I was then in London, and we met again. And we were there for about 2 years or thereabout. And I was there till today. And then, fortunately, I had a function for him with a friend in our apartment, and that is where he met his first wife, the American.
We met in the university, that is the Ahmadu Bello University. When at that time it was a new university. That was in 1964. We were a class. We have so many students inside, like Dayo Mustafa, myself, Katsina Alu, and many others. So we met together at that time, and we were in the same class for about 1 year, few months. Then from there we traveled to London directly.
So for how long were you in London?
We went to London in late 64. And we were there until we were called to the bar in 1967, which means we were free to come back from that time.
Yes. Within that period, he also studied at the Gibson and Weldon College of Law and obtained a degree of the Outer Bar of the University of London. He was called to the English bar in October 1967. He returned to Nigeria same year to attend the Nigerian Law School in Lagos and obtained a bar certificate in 1968. In 1972, he obtained a diploma in Business English. Honorable Justice Aloysius Iyoga Katsina Alu started his working career as a legal practitioner in Lagos in 1968. He was employed as a legal officer in 1969 at the Nigerian Ports Authority. He went back to private legal practice in 1977, this time in Boko, Benue State. He was appointed Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Benue State from February 1978 to July 1979.
Almost the first set of indigents who actually became High Court judges in Benue. And so whatever that, the judiciary has built on is the foundation that they set. And by the grace of God, he's been able to move on, from the High Court to Appeal Court to the Supreme Court and then the Chief Justice of this country. And so he appreciated the issues and the problems of the Benue judiciary and was able to assist them in different ways. And you agree with me that if we look at the judiciary across the country, Benue State is rated very, very high. He has contributed a lot in giving them that solid foundation where today, wherever they're selecting judges for whatever assignment in this country, you will find at least 3 or even more justices from the High Court from Benue. And so, to some large extent, he has done quite a lot.
In 1979, he became a High Court judge in the Benue State High Court of Justice, Makurdi, and remained in that position till May 1985. He was elevated to the Court of Appeal and served in Enugu, Jos, and Port Harcourt between June 1985 and November 1998.
Katsina Alu, before I came to know him, was a household name in Benue State. because he was always the first in certain things. I personally came to know him in 1996 when he was presiding Justice of the Court of Appeal, Port Harcourt. Being the judge that he is, the quintessential judge that he is, he cannot, you can't easily tell his demeanor, because he is on top of the situation when you appear before him, and he would have read the file, he would have armed himself with the facts and the law applicable. He put across to counsel very intelligent questions, and when counsel is trying to err or be outlandish, he will also politely correct you.
I know my Lord as far back as between 88 and 89, when he was still in the Court of Appeal. And it was in the course of appearing before him in Court of Appeal, I think maybe in Enugu, you know, it's quite some time. I was sent there by a senior to handle a case. And I discovered that he has penchant for assisting young lawyers in the discharge of their cases.
He was made a Justice of the Supreme Court on the 25th of November 1998 until his appointment as the Chief Justice of Nigeria.
I happen to have had a matter in the Supreme Court, and he happened to have been one of the justices that sat on the panel that took my appeal, and I was particularly thrilled by his composure, his comportment, and his cunning ability to be extremely silent with interfering when we were making our submission, unlike some of his other colleagues who are interjecting and trying to either intimidate or confuse us. And the only time he intervened was to enable us find our bearing properly. And I felt that this was a judge or a justice who is humanity. And so I was attracted to him, and immediately after the sitting of the court, I asked from one of the court officials where was the chairman of Justice Katsina Alu, and I paid him a courtesy call. He asked where I practiced. I told him I was practicing in Kano, and then he gave us some admonition, some word of advice, and encouraged us that we should keep on working very hard, and that with hard work, the sky was our limit. And since then, we bonded very effectively.
Honorable Justice Katsina Alu attended conferences and seminars in course of his career. Some of them include course in Admiralty Law in London, May 1973 to November 1973, Conference on International Law and Administration, University of Cambridge. His hobbies include reading and table tennis. What kind of a man is Honorable Justice Katsina Alu?
Well, something you can miss in Katsina Alu, even when he became CJ, was his humility. Very kind. Some people believe he's shy. He could be, but very kind, extremely polite. And you can see in him a hard worker. He works hard. You give him an assignment, he will do it well. You could see his late judgments when he was in Court of Appeal in Enugu. And I think he left Enugu for whether it's Jos or Port Harcourt, I can't remember. But I believe he came to Supreme Court from Port Harcourt, the Port Harcourt branch of the Court of Appeal. He's a first-class man, no doubt about it. He's a gentleman, very... I always tell him that he's imitating us, imitating the Fulanis, whereas he's just a munchi, counterfeit Fulani.
He's such a cool and straightforward justice. There is no doubt about that. Everybody who comes closer to him will tell you this. He doesn't bite. He's just somebody who lives everything to Almighty God. I know about that.
Very approachable, very approachable. You can go to Justice Katsina Alu, the CGN, former CGN, at any time, and he's ready to listen to you. You can go to his house, and he's ready to take you there and entertain you.
I'm yet to know a person with higher position like him bending down according respect to traditional or religious leaders like Katsina Alu. I always compare his attitude with the attitude of highly learned person in Benin Kingdom, where they used to accord respect to the Oba of Benin. A professor will see him lying down, giving respect to Oba of Benin, to Almighty Allah. The attitude of Justice Katsina Alu, as far as respect to elders and religious leaders is concerned, can best be compared with the attitude of highly level personalities in Benin Kingdom.
He's a very simple man, very jovial, very honest, very disciplined. Like I said, he has been my role model. So my entire life I have tried to live exactly the way he has lived. Unfortunately, I cannot live exactly like the way he has lived. But he has remained my role model, somebody that I look up to, somebody that is very disciplined, somebody that can calm you down even when things are very difficult.
Well, the Justice Katsina Alu is, first of all, a child of God. That's what I want to tell you about him. He's a child of God. He's a peace-loving man. He's a man who is committed to excellence. Whatever he wants to do it excellently, and he wants to do it well. He's a man who is humble, who does not see a position as something that is a do-or-die thing. He's a very humble man, and irrespective of what position you give to him, he's still willing to flow with everybody. He's everybody's person, if I may put it that way. I would also tell you that he's a shy man. He's shy, so you might not see him in most social settings because he just likes to be by himself and take care of himself at home. He's a homely person.
Did he have time for his family, given his heavy work schedule? Any special lessons learned from him?
Wherever he went, where he was transferred to, he took the whole of his family. So we're always with him. My father never spent one night out of the house. He was always there. His schedule has remained the same. Weekdays he goes to work, he comes back from work, he has his lunch, his siesta, days, watches his network news, takes dinner, stays with his family, goes to bed. That has been his case. That has been his case.
Before May, May 2011, we hardly saw him, so we tended to, frequent his office a lot, say hello to him, talk to him, and then, also in the house, also meet him in the house, we talk to him in the house.
Did he influence the choice of his children's careers?
If he wanted to push everybody, he would push everybody to be a lawyer. But he didn't. You become what you think you can become. Like, out of 6 of us, we have only one magistrate. And that's the girl. That's the first girl. Everybody else, we're doing so many things out of judiciary. So nobody can say he influenced anybody to pursue a particular career. My sister is the firstborn.
Yeah.
Mimi Katsina Alu.
Okay.
She's a magistrate. She's the magistrate. Then the boy was the second. That's Eric. Of course, the same last name. He's the personal assistant to the DG NAFDAC.
Okay.
And the third, Princess. She's one of my directors.
Okay.
The fourth, which is my brother, Timothy, he's the personal assistant to the Attorney General of the Federation.
Okay.
The fifth, that's my sister again, Priscilla. She actually just came back to Nigeria to visit. So
She lives abroad?
She lives abroad. She lives in New York. She just graduated from university.
Okay.
So she came back to visit. And she hasn't really, set her foot down yet, her feet down yet. So we're still, we're working on that.
Okay.
And of course, I'm the last.
I took both the arts and science, liberal arts and science courses. And then when I graduated, I started working as a clerk under him. When he was then the High Court judge at the High Court of Makodi, and I was his clerk. I also, during that period, I also clerked for the Honorable Justice Ogebe and also Justice Sylvester Omaru Onu. But then I was preparing to go into law school, to go to study law, when he advised that we needed a medical doctor in the family, so I should go and study medicine. So it was following his advice that I left to Russia and went and studied medicine.
As a legal officer, how is he rated by his colleagues?
When I was in Port Harcourt, he was also in Port Harcourt. He was in the Court of Appeal. Yes. Since then, I have not met him in a very close range until when I came to Abuja, and that I became a member of the NJC. He's a good leader and gives listening ear to all the judges. For the brief time we've been together in the NJC, he never imposed his idea on anybody.
There is no doubt about it that Katsina Alu is versatile, is still versatile, is erudite. Nobody will talk about being dictator, being Katsina Alu being autocrat or dictator. No, he is very polite and humble. Whatever happens, even if it is on judgments, sometimes he will call me after I submitted my contributions or my lead judgments to him to vet. He will tell me, why should you worry yourself? Your English is perfect. Your setting is good. But why should you be lazy? You better be brief. Don't worry yourself. And sometimes you say, the reason why I'm telling you this, if you talk much, people will find some fault against you, and they will start. So it's just a long. Sometimes you may think he's not even the CJM, because he will call you. You just say, "Oh, my brother, I want to have this panel with you. Do your best. Go and read some books. Go and make some research on this." Sometimes he will even ask me to make some research on a particular point.
I was a very active member of the Federal Judicial Service Commission. He was my chairman. Yeah. And I'll tell you that he led us very well. His chairmanship, his stewardship was excellent. I mean, he was a team player. He never forced any decision on us. In fact, he made sure that he carries each and every one of us along. And that is why throughout his tenure, all decisions that were taken by the Federal Judicial Service Commission was based on consensus. And anybody coming later to say he was not part of that decision is either mischievous or whatever. But then he's a man who is a team player, he's a consensus builder.
It's very interesting, very educative. He is actually not the one who imposes his views on others. As much as possible, he tries to carry everyone along. He seeks people's views, and as much as possible, he tries to make sure that there is a consensus on any issue that is being discussed. So he is not the kind of leader who is autocratic, let me put it this way. Rather, he is democratic in the sense that as much as possible, he carries everybody along with him.
He's a very calm person. He likes throwing challenges at you. And I've really enjoyed my time with him. I started working with him closely as a deputy chief registrar. He would call me, give me some important assignments that ordinarily, if you don't trust somebody, you won't commit such things into his hands. So, since I started working with him closely, he has developed that kind of, confidence in me early enough. So, then he committed so many things, important things, to me.
He created a very conducive atmosphere for us to work there. You know, he gave everybody opportunity to speak on issues, even when the issue contradicts his own opinion, and he feels that you have a superior suggestion to him, he just discards his own opinion and accepts yours. So the atmosphere there was very, very conducive. And he was not only the chairman, he made us feel a brotherly love. You know, there was something like postmatic, you know, lording it over any other person. It was a very cordial atmosphere for us to operate, to do our job, even when you have a dissenting opinion on issues.
Honorable Justice Katsina Alu is highly revered in Benue State for his pioneering role in nurturing the judiciary in the state.
When Benue State was created in 1976, there were a number of very young and talented professional indigenes of Benue State who elected to come home and help establish the structures of the administration and to consolidate them within the context of the 19-state structure. There were many who refused to come, even when called upon, because of the harsh realities of Benue State as a very young state. Makurdi is low-lying and it's very hot, and most decided not to come. But people like Justice Katsina Alu, Isa Odoma, and a few others decided to come forward and offer meaningful and purposeful service to the people of Benue State.
He's a judicial person. He started, you know, he was Attorney General, he became a High Court judge, and then move on like that. So his contribution to the development of Benue State has been in that sector. And like I said, quite a number of Benue sons and daughters have been moved from Benue to Appeal Court and even to the Supreme Court. And so he has done his bit in that direction, and other people will contribute differently, some economic, some political, but his own has been in this area.
He is reputed to have a very robust sense of humor. The present governor of Benue State shares an experience with us.
Please, I would love that you say. You want me to say what he told me?
Yes, in your language, in the same way.
I find that quite difficult under this circumstance. But let me say that we went there and we're discussing about the thief as a people. He also told me our relationship with the Fulani people and what actually happened. That, you know, there's this joke between the thieves and the Fulanis that the thief and the Fulanis were close and they were living together actually. And the Fulani people will travel on Mecca. The thief man will refuse that, he doesn't want to go. When he leaves, he will leave his cattle and his wives with the thief man. When they came back, most of the wives were pregnant, and the cows were also depleted. So when they asked, because the thief man couldn't speak Hausa, when they asked, the Fulani asked, where are my cows? And he said, Munchi, that I've eaten them. You know, all this he relates to me, but the issue of the Karem, this was what he said. He said that Oti Warunkwa Benga Ka Tonuneton Karem Kakondo so Karem Yefato Uyimanti Gayalu Karem, not Karem. Uyo, but Karenimge. You know, I don't know how to translate that in English.
Okay,
but the way he related it to me, that a thief man speaks in short terms, he will not complete what he wants to say. So in the process of that, they have misrepresented what actually happened at that time and are referring to it because there's a snake in thief called Karem. And the thief people believe that Karem was what saved them. They came, while they were moving, they came to a stream and they couldn't cross. And that Karem spread itself across the stream for them to walk on. You know, it's something that, you know, you can't imagine, but a typical teamer absolutely believe in that. So what he told me was that it's not that that there was a stretch of water where, you know, in dry season, probably that stretch that they passed through. So instead of saying that we were saved by Karen Nge, they just shortened it to be Karem. So subsequently, because it was oral tradition, people just concluded that Karem is the snake. They didn't conclude it. Karen Nge, that is a stretch of water. That is the full meaning of it. I learned this from him.
Originally, I'm Fulani. We used to joke. He started that if I go back home, I should tell my people that the TV people have taken Fulani's cows and they've eaten. Nothing will happen. Then I started saying, my Lord, you are my senior. I cannot play this type of thing with you. I will ask my senior brother, former Inspector General of Police, to answer. So you, then the other time I started hitting back. When he was to be screened, I told him everything will be smooth, but get ready. They are going to ask you what you did with Fulani's cows as TV people.
So what was his reaction?
He said, with you, I will just apologize. So this is a good joke, you know. So this is, otherwise, is a quiet person. He doesn't talk much.
Honorable Justice Katsina Alu never forgot his roots for one moment. He has contributed immensely to the development of Alu Town.
He's the founder of the government secondary school, Alu. He brought it to the village so that the younger one could enroll in order to become literate. And the school has changed many of the youth in the village who could have not been opportune to go to school, but they found it easy. Even myself, I benefited from it because I left home for army. After the Nigerian Civil War, when I returned, I was only holding first school certificate. It is when I returned from the army and I have found a school around me, I decided to enroll. And now I'm a degree holder in history. So I personally benefited from the dividend of his hand. And beside that, he sponsored many of our children to school. Okay. And he even found job for many of the community, I mean the youth in the community. He found job for them. And in religion, he's always advising us in the village to focus more on the spiritual need than the material need which we earn here on earth.
Actually, we cannot quantify it. His contributions are too numerous to mention because he's a man that loves God. I prefer calling him a man of God because a man of God, not really one who is pastoring the church, but somebody who is meek and humble, somebody who is God-fearing. Then, as a man of God, he contributed a lot for the growth of this ministry. We have about not less than 18 churches, and he has been contributing wonderfully in the aspect of, putting structures in place, as you see.
He is a deeply religious man who not only preaches the gospel but has respect for others' religious beliefs.
Even during Salah, he will ask some people to bring cow. He will kill cow, then he will say that he calls me by my first name, Saifullah, go and share it. Then I will go to other justices and we'll share it. And then if I say, how much are we going to pay, sir? He said, no. This is my own contribution towards the happiness during the Salah and all this.
As chairman of the Federal Judicial Service Commission, he contributed in no small measure to the upliftment of the commission. A grateful staff wish him well in their special way.
L'ancien chef de la justice du Nigeria, l'honorable juge Katsina Alu, est chef de Federal Judicial Service Commission. Nous avons eu beaucoup de plaisir à vous souhaiter une bonne santé, une longue vie pleine de paix et la plus heureuse vie en retrait. Que le bon Dieu vous bénisse, monsieur. Merci.
Saf ma tot bubwa ma kila amunt naf ma tot bubwa ma shingil. Saf Aloysius Katsina Alu. Ma ya shuruti madolanza ta faunat. Ma folbwe ta fara mamun chala ta fara koma buan ipalang.
Amin benga bongo kwe Nigeria and senior Etiboro Bogoro Federal Judicial Service Commission, Honorable Justice Aloysius Katsina Alu, Nsong idem Anyanu wem, Amen. Inemesere di Ponguto, Yabasiaba Efo.
Gurno insalam mezuangna kaza dala shara Nigeria. Kurushima kura majalisa Federal Judicial Service Commission karangin zipsinama. Karangin chida koluma ide komande ala nyorong nglewa tusungurno anjo amin.
Uhogodo ize enworo yodobido mokare court in Nigeria. Honorable Hiria so Federal Judicial Service Commission na Honorable Justice Aloysius Katsina Alu. Ohota wana sero wenwo asedijo adai.
Msude Davan Zaki Mgusun Honorable Justice Aloysius Katsina Alu shun uyalu tolumbajiri chief in Nigeria ma okan o Federal Judicial Service Commission o sembe hungwane a ndone lumuyo avelu dido ave tomona dido velu sasa ma velu kemben zanzana onda waka yira hon onda veto
na adugwa kerebe n'ojima eno gbekugbeku ene kichagboja ma kajoja ni Nigeria chaka ke achagboja bo Federal Judicial Service Commission Aloysius Katsina Alu kidukola nefe onwupoji abiojo olafiola ola ikijije edebo kidepa on ikodu ola okolo echegbe o
ga baidu nga towo cholanya ohigbo ya menwuklo no ocheku court dundu Nigeria je ya me Honorable Justice Katsina Alu anuke wi gbomina ko Federal Judicial Service Commission na ko wo choko joye olo ilo oye olipo mlebo mlogwede yuklo no je ya me ga baidu
jama'a muna gaishe ku munewa tsohon babban mai shari'a kuma tsohon shugaban hukumar shari'a ta ƙasa gaba ɗaya shine Justice Aloysius Katsina Alu fatan gama aiki lafiya Allah ubangiji ya ƙara masa lafiya mun gode mun gaishe ku.
Àsìkò yìí o a fi àkókò yìí kí adájọ́ àgbà ti olúùlú Nàìjíríà tó fẹ̀yìntì tí wọ́n tún jẹ́ alága Federal Judicial Service Commission Honorable Justice Katsina Alu fún ìgbádùn ìfẹ̀yìntì wọn a kí wọn fún ẹ̀mí gígùn àlàáfíà ìbàlẹ̀ ọkàn ojú ń ro wá o láyọ̀ láyọ̀.
Ọhaneze ekene m unu eji m ohere a wee na-ekene onye isi ọkaikpe nke na-agwara ezumike nka Honorable Justice Aloysius Katsina Alu ana m asị ya chukunye aruike no ogologo ndụ ndị ba ekene m unu daalụ
Indo valla lamdo alkali Nigeria be chairman Federal Judicial Service Commission mo inde mako Honorable Justice Aloysius Katsina Alu mo vurti jam ka min do toro jawmirawo Allah bo yaru mo jam o timmina be duniyaro jam
kuliya mejin misaya shugaba nyan alkali Nigeria ya fayin da shugaba nyan Federal Judicial Service Commission Honorable Justice Aloysius Katsina Alu da kpa mutin alkhairi da rai kpalo da alkhairi amin.
Samoyo, Owando Yesu, Owando Yesu, Owando Ate, Samoyo.